Cash is king, or is it? Hey everyone, it's Mark. I'm here to help you put more money in your pocket through credit cards and smart financial habits. If that sounds good to you, then please do me a quick favor and click on the like and subscribe button down below. So today's topic is going to be extremely valuable, very insightful, and a lot of fun too. We're going to talk about cashback versus points and miles. And depending on who you talk to, you know what they say. Cash is king. No, points and miles are king. But of course, the bigger and more important question is, who's right? And the answer is they both are. It all depends upon the context. And to show you what I mean by that, let's dive right into those details. Here we go. Chances are you've heard dozens, probably hundreds of people say cash is king. And here's the thing, in most situations they are correct. However, I'd like to change this phrase just a little bit because it's not necessarily true in all situations. In fact, for everything except travel, cash is king. But when it comes to travel, cash needs to take off its crown and realize it is not king. That's because for travel, points and miles are king. But for everything else, cash and cashback are king. Now, for all of you awesome analytical types out there going through all the scenarios of the small outlier situations where this is not true, I've got a quick disclaimer to make. For this video, we are comparing points and miles versus cashback for travel. We are also speaking in general, that is, the majority of the time. That's because exceptions do exist. And it's also because if I were to cover every single small tiny use case and all the exceptions one by one, this video would be like 4 hours long. And ain't nobody gonna watch that. I wouldn't even watch that. So with that said, let's get back to the video. As we move through this video, there are 4 types of travel points you want to be aware of. The first type is airline miles. These give you the best value when redeeming with one airline and or its airline partners. An example would be the United MileagePlus program. The second type is hotel points. These give you the best value when redeeming with one hotel company. An example would be Marriott Bonvoy. The third type is flexible points. These have equal value when redeeming for any flight, any hotel, any rental car, any cruise, etc. An example of this is the Wells Fargo GoFor Rewards program. And fourth, we have transferable points. These give you the best value when converting from bank points to partner airline miles or partner hotel points. An example of this is the Chase Ultimate Rewards program. Now do note, some points are flexible and transferable. Good examples of this include Amex, Capital One, Chase, and Citi. So we've got all these points and miles with hotels and airlines and transferable and flexible and all these things, and they're all equal. They're worth the same amount of money, right? Not quite. Here's the reality. All points are not equal, and all miles are not equal. Oh boy. Don't worry though, I'm gonna make this extremely simple and straightforward for you. Keep watching. On average, some points are worth about 1 cent. You can think of them like a penny. And then on one side, we've got some points that are worth less than 1 cent or less than a penny. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have some points that are worth more than 1 cent or more than 1 penny. And when you redeem them, you can get more, less, or equal value compared to what they're worth on average. And that's because prices for flights, hotels, etc. change based on location, based on the state of the economy, the type of room or class of service, seasonality, demand, and more. It's the same reason why the exact same flight starting from California to New York could be $400 in February, but it could be $600 in June. It might even be with the same airline, the same class of service, the exact same route, and maybe even the same flight crew. But just like the cash rate for any flight or hotel can fluctuate over time, so can the amount of points that you need to redeem in order to book that flight or that hotel room. And just like your actual money can go farther living in Oklahoma or Kansas than it can in the middle of New York City or San Francisco, the same holds true for your points and miles too. You might be able to extract more value out of them, have them go further for you and be worth more redeeming for a hotel in Texas than the same hotel brand in New York. Let's keep moving along with some examples. First, we'll look at the value of points and miles with the flexible and transferable points programs. And here we've got on the left-hand side of your screen, Chase, Citi, American Express, and Capital One. In the Chase Ultimate Rewards program, 1 point is worth about 2 cents each on average when redeemed for travel. An example would be 10,000 points being worth about $200. Citi Thank You points on average are worth about 1.7 cents each. So 10,000 points would be around $170. Points in the American Express Membership Rewards program are also worth about 2 cents each, so on average 10,000 points would be around $200. And then Capital One's Venture Miles are about 1.4 cents each when redeemed for travel. 10,000 points being around $140. Now, if we look at the examples from airline miles in specific airline programs, we can see American Airlines being worth about 1.4 cents each, Delta Airlines about 1.2 cents each, Southwest Airlines about 1.5 cents each, and United Airlines at about 1.3 cents each. And now we'll see a few examples with hotel points. So in Marriott's Bonvoy program, 1 point is about 0.8 cents each. Hilton Honors points are worth about 0.6 cents each. IHG Rewards Club points are about 1/2 penny a point, and the World of Hyatt program points are 1.7 cents each on average. Now, if you're wondering where in the world do I get all of these average point values, well, it's actually pretty simple. Check this out. For the most part, I use the Points Guy valuations. If you're not familiar, you can go to thepointsguy.com. This is one of the more early travel blogs that came about years ago. And on the homepage, they have this section called What Are Points Worth? And they have valuations for all the different types of programs, at least the major ones out there. And I simply use these as my general framework when I calculate the value of my points. So you can go down to thepointsguy.com, look for that section, click on the See All button to expand the list. Now, even the Points Guy has their own disclaimer. This is what they say. There isn't a strict mathematical formula at work here. At some point, we'd like to create a system that could calculate a precise value based on award availability, fees, award levels, and ease of accrual. But for now, these valuations are based on a combination of how much TPG would pay to buy points if given the opportunity, and the overall value I could get from redeeming them. And that's why we have these average values. They allow us to compare one points or miles program to another. So as you're starting to see, there are two sides to the story here. There's the earning side and the redeeming side. As you earn points, you want to compare cashback versus points and miles. And then on the redeeming side, you want to do the same comparison. But in order to compare cashback versus points and miles, you've got to put them on the same playing field. Because if you compare dollars to points and miles that have average varying values all over the board, how do you really compare them? A 2% cashback card is not necessarily a double points or miles credit card. The only times where a 1% cashback card equals 1 point per dollar, or 2% cashback equals double points, or 3% cashback equals triple points, that holds true when those points are worth a penny each. But as we just saw, points and miles can be worth a penny or all over the place, more or less than a penny. So to go from this to this for an equal comparison so we can understand what's really going on here, there are two concepts to understand. The first concept is how to calculate credit card return on spend. Translation: what is the cashback equivalent for cards that earn points? This is the earning side of the story. And concept number two is how to calculate point redemption value. Translation: if I redeem points for Hotel A or Flight B, what value per point do I get compared to the average? This is the redeeming side of the story. So now that you've been introduced to these two concepts, let me explain each one for you with some more details to make them very clear. Concept one, credit card return on spend. Again, that means what is the cashback equivalent for cards that earn points? Again, the earning side of this story. To calculate the credit card return on spend, you first want to take the category multiplier, multiply that by the average point value, multiply that by 100, and then you will have your percent return on spend. In other words, your cashback equivalent. Here's example number one, and we'll use the World of Hyatt credit card. So on the far left side of your screen, you see a really sleek picture of a great looking credit card. And then below that, you see all of the category multipliers. In other words, the multiplier effect on how many points you earn. So this card earns 4 points per dollar at Hyatt, 2 points per dollar on transit, dining, flights, and fitness purchases, and 1 point per dollar on everything else. So now move to the right side of your screen. We can see the category multipliers. So we'll start with the 4Fs. We multiply that by the average point value. That's what I got from thepointsguy.com. And currently Hyatt points are pegged at around 1.7 cents each. So that's 0.017 in dollar format. I then take the result of that, multiply it by 100, and I receive my percent return on spend, 6.8%. I then do the same for the double point category. I take the 2 points per dollar, multiply them by 1.7 cents each. then take that result, multiply 100, and I receive my percent return on spend of 3.4%. Lastly, I'll do the same for the 1x category. 1 times 0.017 times 100 is 1.7%. So if this were a cashback credit card, I would be earning the equivalent of 6.8% cashback on Hyatt spend, 3.4% on those 2x categories, or 1.7% back on everything else. And that's where I stop and ask myself, can I think of any cashback credit cards that would give me 6.8% or so of return on my Hyatt hotel purchases? I can't really think of any. So if I'm going to a Hyatt hotel, it makes a lot of sense to use the World of Hyatt credit card to pay for that stay versus a cashback card that might only earn 2, 3, or 4% back. But for the transit, dining, flights, and fitness categories where I'm earning 3.4% back, there are some cashback credit cards that could be competitive with that, maybe even do a bit better. And for sure on the 1x category, even the Citi Double Cash card would earn 2% back on everything else. So the World of Hyatt card makes the most sense for my travel purchases at Hyatt hotels because of that super strong 6.8% return. Let's do another example with the American Express Gold Card. 4x points at US supermarkets and dining, 3x on flights, 1 point per dollar on everything else. Same thing with the table on the other side. I took the 4-point category multiplier, multiplied by the average point value of 2 cents per point, multiply that by 100, and I got an 8% return on my US supermarkets and dining purchases. The result for flights was a 6% return, and the equivalent for the 1x category is a 2% return. So again, are there any cashback credit cards that would give me 8% return on my supermarket and dining spend? Not that I can think of. Points are starting to look pretty good now, aren't they? Now let's do a third example based on a real world experience. Let's say we're going to spend $259.89 at a hotel. You can see the screenshot there on the left hand side of your screen. This is from the Intercontinental San Diego Hotel. And we're going to follow this spend along path 1, as I call it. This would be the cashback route. And let's say the cashback card you had was the Citi Double Cash card. So we're going to charge that $259.89 to the Citi Double Cash card, which earns 2% cash back on all purchases. That 2% on $259.89 will be $5.20 of cash back. Sweet, we're going to a nice hotel, we're paying with the Citi Double Cash card, and we're getting $5.20 back on our spend. But could we do even better? Let's continue this example with path number 2. Rather than earning cash back, we're going to earn hotel points with the IHG Rewards Club Premier card. That card makes the most sense to use because the Intercontinental San Diego is an IHG hotel. So now let's say we charge the same $259.89 to the IHG Rewards Club Premier credit card. That card earns 10 points per dollar on IHG hotel spend. But then we run into a problem. How do we compare 10x points to 2% cash back? Well, we've got to put them on the same playing field, so to speak. We've got to convert this into cashback terms. So that's where the return on spend comes in handy. We'll take those 10 points per dollar, the category multiplier. We'll multiply that by the average point value, which is a half a penny a point, or 0.005 in dollar format. Multiply that by 100 and we get 5% return. So if this card were earning cashback, it would be earning 5% cashback on IHG hotel spend. Now we can calculate 5% of $259.89, which is $12.99 of cashback equivalent in the form of 2,599 IHG points. All right, now the battle gets intense. Let's put these two paths side by side and see what the final result is. Path 1 was the cashback path. We used the Citi Double Cash credit card to earn $5.20 of cashback in cash. Then along path 2, we decided to earn hotel points. We earned $12.99 cash equivalent in points in the form of 2,599 IHG points. Now don't forget, we're talking about the best travel redemptions here. How can you get the most amount of money to discount future trips or vacations? Yes, cashback will win for the most flexibility because you can use it for travel and anything else you want. But within the context of travel, the points blew cashback out of the water by more than double. Assuming you'll be going on another trip in the future staying at an IHG hotel, it makes way more sense to earn a 5% return on your spend with the IHG card than it does on a 2% cashback card, or even a 3% or 4% cashback card when it comes to hotels. All right, now let's move into concept number 2. Point redemption value. Again, the translation of that would be, if I redeem points for Hotel A or Flight B, what value per point do I get compared to the average? Again, this is the redeeming side of the story. To calculate the point redemption value, you want to take the price of the flight, hotel, or cruise, or whatever it may be, and divide it by the number of points needed to cover the cost. Then take that result, multiply it by 100, and then you'll have the value per point. Then you'll compare that value to the average value of that particular type of point. If you achieve higher than the average value, that's a good redemption. If it equals the average value, then that's an average redemption. And then if you got lower than the average value, that would be a bad redemption, at least on paper from a mathematical standpoint. And by the way, when you're starting with that price of the flight or the hotel, you want to include the taxes and the fees in that price if the points or miles covers them. Otherwise, don't include that. Now let's bring all that to life with an example. We'll take the same hotel, the Intercontinental San Diego, but rather than paying for it with a credit card, let's actually assume that we have points and we're going to do an award redemption. In other words, use our points to cover the cost of the hotel. So normally the cash rate, as we saw earlier, was $259.89. But there was an amenity fee that was not covered by the points. That was $30 per day. So I subtracted that out of the nightly rate. So instead of $259.89, we're going to use $229.89. So I took that price, divided it by the amount of points needed to cover that cost per night, 32,500 IHG rewards points, and then I multiplied the result by 100. That gave me 0.71 cents per point. I then took that value and compared it to the average IHG point value, which was 0.5 cents per point. So since we achieved 0.71 cents per point, we got more value than what IHG points are worth on average. Therefore, it was a good redemption. Now let's do a second example, this time with the Phoenician, a luxury collection resort in Scottsdale, Arizona. The price was $568 all in per night, and I subtracted out $43.04 because that was the $40 per day resort fee plus associated taxes that were not covered by points. So I took the amount that points would cover, $524.97 per night. I divided that by the cost in points to cover that amount, which was 60,000 points. I then took that result, multiplied it by 100, and received 0.87 cents per point. Now, if we compare that to the average Marriott point value of 0.8 cents per point, we can see that this was another good redemption because we achieved more than the average value per point. But why is this point redemption value so important? Well, here's the thing. If you have a cashback credit card that earns 5% back on flights, but you have a points card that would earn you 7% back on flights, then the points card wins for more value. But then if you go redeem those miles for a flight well under the average value of those miles, then you're cutting into the gains that you initially had. So that 7% return on spend that you may have earned initially with your miles card may have actually earned you 4% or 3% if you redeem those miles at a really unfavorable rate below the average. And if you do that, then that means your cashback card would have won. Let's wrap up this video by breaking everything we learned down into 3 simple steps. In general, if you want to win with points and miles for travel, then you'll want to earn points and miles when the return on spend is greater than what a cashback card could give you for the same purchase. Next, you'll want to redeem your points or miles when their point redemption value is at or above their average value. And lastly, you'll want to save your points or miles when their point redemption value is below the average. And there you have it. When it comes to cashback versus points and miles, cash is king for everything except travel, and points and miles are king for travel. So if travel's not really your thing, stay with cashback. But if you've got some sort of trip or vacation coming up in the next few months or maybe next year, then you probably want to consider the best points or miles strategy to help you get there faster than cashback ever could. Plus, you'll end up saving a lot more of this once you start using points and miles effectively. If you enjoyed this video and believe it could benefit others, then please help me get it in front of more people by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications. And by the way, if you have any questions about the concepts that we covered today, drop those in the comments down below. I'm happy to help you guys out. I'll see you again in future videos, and until then, remember, you are great.